Let me ask the question. Who is Matthew Zieg? Can you come up here for a minute? Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Dawson County Board of Commissioners voting session. Today is Thursday, June 18th, 2026. Appreciate those that are with us in attendance as well as those that are with us online. First off, though, I need a motion to come out of executive session.
Motion to exit executive session.
Motion by Commissioner Stowers, seconded by Commissioner Bruce. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 4-0. We are now out of executive session. Let the record show that all 5 commissioners are present. Ask everyone to please stand for a brief invocation and pledge. If you would, bow your heads, please. Our dear gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day and for the many blessings of life. We ask that you give us knowledge and wisdom to carry out the business of this county. Anything that we accomplish will give you the honor and glory. In Christ's name we do ask and pray. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You may be seated. Turn this off in case it don't go out. Okay. Are there any announcements on the board? Any announcements on the board? Okay. We move on to the approval of the minutes. First, we have the minutes of work session held on June 4th, 2026. Any additions or deletions? Motions.
Motion to approve is presented.
Motion by Commissioner Stowers, seconded by Commissioner Turkett. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. Four 4-0. That is approved 4-0. Next up, we have the minutes of the voting session held on June 4, 2026. Any additions or deletions? Motions?
Motion to approve as is.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Bruce, seconded by Commissioner Stowers. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 4-0. Next up, we have the approval of the agenda. I do have 2 changes to the agenda under new business, numbers 3 and 4. Community Development Personnel Reclassification Requests of permit staff to complete addressing assignments, and then 2 board appointments, Long Range Planning Committee and Park and Recreation. With that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda with those 2 changes.
Make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Stowers, seconded by Commissioner Bruce. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. That is approved 4-0. The agenda is approved with the 2 changes. No one signed up for public comment in this section?
No, sir.
We'll move on to the consent agenda. Consent agenda, we have a request for commitment letter concerning a Georgia-grown trail, and that had to do with Highway 52 and the businesses associated with that, and a request to accept a Georgia Department of Human Services grant for Family Connection. That was $56,250. And as you know, we are their physical agent. And then Legacy Link FY 2026 contract addendum number 2, which was $2,996 for meals. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as is.
Motion by Commissioner Bruce, seconded by Commissioner Turkett. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 4-0. Next up, we have public hearing. Proposed amendments to the County Code of Ordinance, Chapter 6, Alcohol and 34 Special Events. This is the second of 2 hearings. First hearing was held on June 4th. Richard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the BOC, business owners, and citizens have noted concerns about the standards related to temporary alcohol special event permits and general special event permits. Staff has received input from event center reps who have requested that event centers be exempt when they have BYOB events from having to obtain temporary alcohol special event permits. Business reps have also requested that clarifying brown bagging, also known as BYOB, would include beer, wine, and distilled spirits. BOC will hold an additional public hearing since the first one. After I speak, anybody can speak for or against it before BOC potentially makes a voting decision tonight. The last item about general event, special events is event centers as businesses. They're set up as places of assembly. They're set up to hold events. Therefore, our number in which a county general special event permit, right now, it's anything 100 or more, but for these businesses, event centers, that number would increase to 300, so that only if there are 300 or more participants, only then an event center as a business would need to get a general special event permit. And when we say general special event permit, we're talking about non-routine business, a fee-for-service activity. So the upcoming rodeo is an example of that, or when there's a big carnival at the outlet mall.
Any other information needed from Richard before I open this hearing? Thank you, sir. All right, this time I'll open up this public hearing. We do have 4 people who have signed up to speak. I'll remind you that you each have 3 minutes. If you need more time, you'll have to request that of the board. First up, we have Jeff Runner. Jeff, come on up.
I'm Jeff Runner. I live at 75 Swan Center Drive. We've worked diligently with staff and with several of you commissioners to come up with this plan. I'd like to urge you all to approve it. It solves the problem. When I was here in front of you the last time, I said it appeared you didn't want us to have wedding venues, and I want to retract that statement. It appears you all have really worked hard to help resolve this problem, and I'd just like to encourage you to go ahead and approve it. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Amy Browning. Come on up, Ms. Browning. You will have 3 minutes.
Good evening. My name is Amy Browning. I live at 3071 Amicalola Church Road. I speak in favor of the approved changes to Chapter 6. I think this is in favor of the wedding venues, and I really appreciate you all taking your time over the last several weeks working with us and helping us to further our businesses and make public safety an issue as well. So I thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Next in support is Jeff. Is that Buffington? Okay. You write like I do.
Jeff Buffington, Coal Creek Farm. I am speaking, we've met with Richard and his staff, and we've come up with something that we thought was good for us, and then he came up with, talked with the attorneys and came up with something that could work for everybody. And I speak in, that ask you to approve the message.
Thank you, sir. And also in support is Maria Wilson. Come on up, Ms. Wilson.
Hi, I'm Maria Wilson with Lily Creek Farm, and I'm up here to support everything you are pushing through with this. I want to thank Richard for working with us and helping us get this put together, but also this is going to keep us going in a safe direction with alcohol at venues, and also continuing to bring that growth of people getting married in this county, the revenue they bring into this county, and not pushing them to make their decision to do their weddings in Lumpkin County, additional counties that they have those choices, but keeping those choices in the county by supporting our needs and what these people visiting us are here to do. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right. As it is still a little new to the fact that we are having people to sign up to speak at public hearings, I'm going to ask to see if there's anyone else who wished to speak, either for or against, that didn't sign up before I close the hearing. Okay? So with that, I'll close the hearing. What is the pleasure of the board?
I make a motion that we approve the proposed amendments to the County Code of Ordinances for Chapter 6 Alcohol and Chapter 34 Special Events.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Stowers, seconded by Commissioner Bruce for approval of the amendments. Any discussion?
No discussion, just comment, and again, to reiterate what's already been said, Richard, you and your team, I know, worked hard, and this is an example of community giving feedback in a positive way and able to work something that is amenable and to be a benefit to the whole community. So not only thank you, but thank you for all the event owners and operators that do business and create opportunities for people to come enjoy Dawson County, and it's just appreciated.
And I just thank you, Jeff, for retracting that statement, because we do want you guys here. We're big proponents of small business. We're big proponents of business in this community, and we want to see you thrive. We just want to see you thrive safely for the betterment of everybody. So thank you for that.
Any other discussion or comments? All right, hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 4-0. We'll move on into zonings, and I'll go over the rules that we'll use for zoning. Planning Director will present the application and recommendation of the Planning Commission. We'll hear from the applicant. Then I'll open the hearing. We'll hear from those who are in favor of the application. We'll hear from those who are opposed to the application. Each person wishing to speak will be allotted 3 minutes per zoning guidelines, 10 minutes per side maximum, but it can be extended if the board so desires. Anyone who speaks will need to sign in and give your name and address, which we have. And also, if anyone has donated $250 or more to any candidate, you will need to fill out a form stating so. First up, we have ZA 2614. Sean Courtney has submitted a request to the proper authorities on behalf of Bowl Wealth Management for a land use amendment to rezone approximately 20.89 surveyed acres from RA Residential Agriculture to CHI Commercial Highway Intensive to allow for a proposed office, flex, and warehouse development. The proposed rezoning is consistent with the Georgia 400 Mixed-Use Future Land Use Character Area Map. The subject property is located at Whitmire Drive, Dawsonville, Georgia, 30534, parcel numbers 107-078, 107-078-004, 107-078-005, and 107-077. This was tabled from May 21st, 26, at which time a public hearing was already held. Richard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So a public hearing was held at the Planning Commission level, which recommended approval with conditions. Public hearing was held at the Board of Commissioners level, which tabled it. The applicant has respectfully requested that, again, the Board of Commissioners consider tabling it specifically to July 16, because there's been 2 public hearings already. Just as the last time, public hearing is not required. If before making a potential motion tonight, the BOC wants to see if anybody wants to speak, that would be fine as well, but a public hearing is unnecessary at this time.
Richard, in reference to their request to move it to July the 16th, are they making changes to the plans?
Yes, sir. The request is based on looking at the market demand mix. Right now, it is, I would say, approximately 2/3 industrial, 1/3 commercial, and they're looking, based on additional feedback, at maybe making more of a mix of 50/50. Whatever the mix is, they're looking at potentially more commercial. And then also they're looking at their traffic counts and seeing if there's less truck traffic, if there's less industrial, what would that do to the mix of traffic? Yes, sir.
And I would say, Ms. Davis, you can help me on this right here, is if it's the board's desire to table it again until July 16th, is that we have another public hearing, because there are some changes to it that would give the public that opportunity.
We can certainly do that, Mr. Chairman. As Richard indicated, pursuant to the zoning procedures law, a single public hearing is all that's required, and we have fulfilled that. I always feel that if there are substantial changes made to a plan, then we would want to give the public an additional opportunity. So I don't know how varied these changes are. I think these changes are in response to the public comment and concerns, which is the point of a public hearing. So they're already trying to be responsive to that, but it's certainly well within our purview to conduct another public hearing in between now and July 16th. I think, Kristen can correct me, but I think we would have time to advertise to do
Yeah,
that.
I think so. It's only 15 days, and we'll have plenty of time. So, I mean, like I say, if it's the board's desire to move it to the 16th, I would request that whoever makes the motion put that as well in there for another public hearing, that we advertise for another public hearing, just to hear from the public if they want to talk about the changes or whatever that's being proposed. All right, so this one doesn't require a public hearing for you to vote tonight on what you want to do, so what is the pleasure of the board?
Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna make a motion to move it, to table it. They're wanting to table it to the next meeting or the one after
16th.
that?
July
Okay,
16th.
To July 16th, and that we would include a public hearing be advertised for that, just for further input from the community based on changes that are made.
Second.
All right, motion by Commissioner Bruce, second by Commissioner Turkett for tabling it until the 16th and advertising for another public hearing. Any discussion?
Just procedurally, because we did advertise it as a public hearing tonight, we don't need to go through that.
It's already been done.
To clarify, I don't believe it was advertised for public hearing
Not tonight. No, we already had a public hearing.
Yeah, that's right, the prior,
Any other discussion? Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 4-0 to table till July the 16th, advertised for another public hearing. We move on to ZA 2613. Matthew Zieg of CSC Design has submitted an application to the proper authorities requesting a land use amendment and rezoning of 8.58 surveyed acres from RA residential agriculture to CHI commercial highway intensive to allow for a proposed commercial development. Proposed zoning, rezoning consistent with the Georgia 400 mixed use future land use character area map. The applicant also requests a variance from Dawson County Land Use Article 4, Section 121-1033D to allow for the following buffer reductions: a 40-foot buffer reduction along the true east property line, reducing the required 50-foot undisturbed buffer to 10, and a 35-foot buffer reduction along the true north property line, reducing the required 50-foot undisturbed buffer to 15 feet. The subject property is located at 173 Stacy Lane, Dawsville, Georgia, 30534, parcel numbers 107-087 and 107-081-001. Richard?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This proposal to change the zoning to the zoning that allows for commercial and/or industrial, CHI, heavy intensive, is consistent with the future land use map. Planning Commission did have concerns about the significance of the variance request, reducing on one property line from 50 feet down to 10 feet. Undisturbed buffers required for zoning whenever there's a proposal, in this case that's industrial, that is touching or adjoining a single-family residence. So one property line, 50 feet down to 10 feet. Another property line reduced from 50 feet down to 15 feet. Planning Commission recommended denial based on the concern about the significance of the variance request, as well as the speculative nature of the request. What we're talking about is proposed 3 buildings for light industrial, total of 49,000 square feet, and there's not any proposed tenants that are specified. Industrial, now this zoning district does not allow for heavy industrial, so we would not be seeing smokestack operations, processing, things like that, but there still are a variety of potential uses. There's no listed specified either tenant or specified use within industrial. So that lack of specificity was concerning to the Planning Commission, along with the significant buffer reduction. Therefore, again, Planning Commission recommended denial.
Questions for Richard?
I think when the Planning Commission originally heard it, was it already below the 50,000 threshold that required the LDP? Seems like it was above, there was ambiguity from what I understood, that they thought it was above the threshold.
There was a question about that, but the applicant had to staff, and then staff confirmed it, and the applicant did as well at the Planning Commission meeting, that county code has a requirement if it's total of 50,000 square feet or more of commercial or industrial space, a traffic study is required before the Planning Commission meeting. In this case, they're at 49,000 square feet. Traffic study is not required. They did not do one.
And when it comes to the question on the speculative nature, I mean, we've had several of these come up over the years. I mean, it's not uncommon that we have people that are looking to develop these in a speculative nature, I wouldn't assume. I mean, that seems to be a common thing. Am I correct in that statement?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions for Richard?
The the variances that we're talking about, when we look at the one variance to the east, I mean, it appears to be around the one single-family home that's kind of carved out. With that space and what's going on down there, eventually that particular tract should become commercial, I would assume, correct?
That would be the hope. You know, in terms of the line of how far do we go or not go as staff, would staff and the Planning Commission love for that property to be gobbled up and be a part of this request? Yes, but that's not up for y'all or us as staff or Planning Commission. So while it's there, while it's an existing single-family residence that appears to be occupied, the buffer is required. Yes, sir.
And I think we did get a letter. Is that
Yeah,
the
I'm gonna
letter
read
that
that.
we got? Okay.
I'll read that.
Okay. And then the buffer to the north, again, the land to the north is, what is it zoned right now? What is it, the VDOS investment? Is it zoned agriculture?
It's agriculture vacant, and so that's right. It's something where the more concern was the existing single-family residence on the small piece of property to the south and to the east. Yes, sir.
And then I think there was a note that I found when I came in earlier about the topography kind of goes down towards that way. We're worried about stormwater runoff. However, it looks like the stormwater management is on the south end of that side, so it would catch all that before it goes over to the next property, it appears.
So for any development, it would not have to be a condition of zoning because embedded in the county code standards and the stormwater standards that Public Works looks at. Over and above that, this is southeast Dawson in the extra MS4 stormwater area.
Have to be
So that's
captured.
correct. It would have to meet certain standards with the new development. They could not, based on their calculations, design, and implementation, cause runoff over and above what's there right now. That's right, yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
I have just a quick question, just to clarify. The buffers, the variance for the buffers to decrease from 50 to 15 and 50 to 10 are on the property owner's side, on each side of the parcel, not on the road frontage, correct?
Not on the road frontage, that's right. Buffer is only required where you're touching a property where it's single-family residential, or single-family
There
residential,
are buffers on the road
zoning or use.
where you can build things, correct? Doesn't it have to be like a 40-foot buffer from the front?
So there is landscaping required, yes, ma'am, with road frontage, that's
Okay.
right.
Okay, so but isn't there a 40-foot buffer required or a 50-foot buffer required on road before you can have like a parking lot or anything?
So the 400
Other than the
overlay
right-of-way?
district
Is it just the right-of-way?
for, let's say, Outback or Olive Garden or something like that, yes, there's extra setbacks for the parking.
Okay.
You're correct. I think that's what you're thinking of.
It is. Right, I see that. I just want to make sure that's not being reduced.
Correct, it is
Okay,
not.
I just wanted to clarify, okay.
Other questions for Richard? Thank you, sir. All right, is the applicant present? Come on up, tell us what you'd like to do.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Brian Orr. I'm on the sheet there. I'm principal of the proposed project on Stacy Lane. Thank you all for your time. Couple things I wanted to note. I want to just say, what we want to do is we typically look for projects that fit in the long-term use of the municipality, in this case, the county, and it does. It's a small, I want to stress to you, it's a kind of a small project as far as industrial goes. We're doing basically 3 light industrial buildings. These aren't the mega large buildings that you heavy industrial with the semis that come in and out. It would be a low impact project. I mean, we anticipate there being 3 to 4 tenants probably. On the larger building, we could have 2 tenants. Could have more, but I mean, the goal market we're targeting is single tenant buildings. These could be a plumbing supply place or a lighting store where they might have a office where you can look at the lights for a housing for your house, and then they would store the lights in the back, something like that. It is very low impact. It's very, as you look at that area, there's many commercial uses that touch this property as well across the street along 400. We did do a lot of due diligence talking to the neighbors. You mentioned the single family, Mr. Pinkering, he wrote a letter, which
I've got.
Okay. But since he's the one most impacted, he's very much in support of the project. We made an effort to really reach out to him. He provided a letter to Planning and Zoning and then an additional letter to the board here. He is, for various reasons, I think he does want to transition his property, just not at this particular time. He's very, we had a very good relationship. He had no problem with the change in the setbacks. And then the property to the north, same thing. He expressed an interest that his long-term goal was to have a commercial project there of some kind, and worked very well with him. Several conversations with both Matthew and myself on the phone with him, and he even asked for our help on some of his stuff. So we feel very good about that. But I just want to let you all know we made an effort to really go to the neighbors to make sure there was not a problem there. Couple other points to talk about the idea of the building spec. For example, I did a spec strip center. That's very common. You don't know who the tenants are going to be. They don't typically, leases change on and off, so they don't know. We would like to build what they call build to suit. We would love to have somebody say, build us this building, and Matthew would that's what center to the plate for him. That's what he does. So that would be ideal, but and it's very common in this kind of light industrial to build a building without knowing, and then leasing it out once it's good, and you market it. So we're not able to sort of tell you who it's gonna be because we don't know if we're gonna get the zoning and that sort of thing. So I just wanted to address that with the board, so, and Matthew can address some technical.
Matthew, you're speaking as part of the applicant as well?
Correct, yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, I'm the engineer and designer of the project for Brian, who's going to be the developer.
So the need for the variances is just to get everything to fit?
Correct, yes. And when we spoke to the neighbors, they were in favor of this development. I mean, they want this development to go on, and they are willing to help in ways possible. So this gets us to the square foot number that we need to get the numbers to work.
Okay. Thank you.
Now, there was some discussion about the road. And so can you talk about that a little bit, about bringing that up to commercial surface or whatever?
We would, I just went by there a while ago, and the road is actually in good condition. We'd be, and Mr. Pinkering asked about that as well, and so I explained to him, typically you see that these kind of, if we damage the road from the project, we'd certainly fix it, but we're willing to resurface the road prior to the CO being issued. Once we do the land disturbance permit and once we get into the project, probably makes sense to do it at the end. But we want to have it look nice going to our project, right?
Right.
So we don't want a damaged road. The project won't support us, tearing it up, widening it, curb and guttering it. It's just not that big. If we were, if it was a multifamily with a bunch of apartments or something, we could probably make that work in the numbers. But 3 light industrial buildings, it'll kill just economically, it won't. But we'll be happy to resurface it. We talked about that. I got some calls from Matthew on that as well. But we would be happy to resurface that prior to CO as it exists in the current Stacy Lane to the Castleberry Boulevard.
And if it's, obviously this is our roads director's forte, not necessarily ours, but let's just say hypothetically, you just mentioned that the road's in good condition now. Let's just say hypothetically, we don't damage the road today, so there might not be an immediate need for the improvement to it or overlay. Are you open, and again, Robert would have to give us the direction on this, but would you be open to escrowing the cost if it didn't need to be done today, but in 5 years from now, after it gets utilized, then come in and do the overlay at that time and just escrow the cost potentially at,
We'd be willing to do that if it was a reasonable number, and
I think it would be, if you go down that route again, we'd lean into Robert to tell us get some estimates on what it would cost to do it today, and then just escrow that.
I think what I would want to communicate to you all is that we want a good-looking road to our project.
Sure.
But we picked this based on, and we were satisfied with the road. There's commercial uses on it already. There's actually a fence down at the end of it. I'm not sure what that's all about, but
It dead ends into that, correct?
Yeah.
It dead ends to the, okay.
Yeah, probably eventually there might be interparcel connectivity to the one
Yeah.
to the north, potentially.
But we don't want a damaged road. We want to be able to sell this to the tenants and have good tenants that are a benefit to the community, and we want to have a nice looking buildings, and Matthew designs great buildings.
And this does fit into the 400 overlay, so there's some additional restrictions as far as building materials and things like that, and you're obviously aware of all those restrictions.
And
Architectural structure.
had plenty of experience in that corridor.
Okay.
Did the roads department did they comment on this at all?
Yes, ma'am. So they did, and I understand there's a legal question, which I defer always to the county attorney, about project versus system improvement, in the sense that at the end of Stacy Lane, because right now the end of Stacy Lane is not designed, built at all to commercial industrial grade standards. So at a minimum, for sure that will need to be upgraded. Whether or not the county code merits and the idea of project-related or system improvement on, does Stacy Lane, per county code, per requirement, have to be? You know, there's an idea, I understand, of should or should not, but yes, Public Works, if they had their druthers, their preference, they would rather have more right-of-way and the entirety of the road and the intersection with Lee Castleberry Road improved to commercial industrial grade standards. I think that's something that, from community development and just being involved in past commercial industrial developments, in terms of zoning conditions and what gets approved, I would rely on the county code and rely on the limitations. So having a zoning condition might be a bridge too far to say, oh, well, there's a zoning condition that the entirety of the road and the intersection with Lee Castleberry Road must be upgraded and improved to commercial grade standards. If Public Works has certain county code specific requirements, then they will cite them in their civil plan review. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I guess where I was going with that is, would it be more beneficial, because like you said, at the end, I'm not even sure what that is, and it kind of dead ends there, which means beyond this other small, I think is a driveway, I'm not sure what that is, but I almost just wonder if it would be more beneficial to do intersection improvements to Lee Castleberry and Stacy Lane with an overlay versus just future whatever to just Stacy Lane.
I think my understanding is that they're willing to, the entrance of the project is not too far down. I mean, how many, what's the distance, the feet distance from the intersection of Castleberry and your entrance? Approximately. I mean, it's closer to Lee Castleberry than it is further down. So you're talking
Our
about
proposed entrance is
overlaying
really
that.
is not that far past it's at the front part of where our property
Right.
begins, when the subject property begins, just past the multifamily.
Yeah, we get past the multifamily and then we turn in, and then we're actually cutting, we're staying out of the driveway for the single-family house. So we're not messing with that at all. We're creating our own drive.
Entrance in.
Yes.
And we could shut that, I mean, and I'm not opposed to, eventually, once we get our entrance there, we could possibly show, I mean, we don't have a need to come out down there. So we could close that if that was something that would, I don't.
We're not proposing anything beyond that first entrance
Yeah,
as access into
We
the property.
won't need that access, to tell you the truth, at the end.
Okay.
And here's one thing you might, I mean, I don't know if, throw this out there, but I mean, since we talked about escrowing some money, y'all could make the decision what, if any improvements you want to make. We're sort of happy with what it is on Stacy Lane. It works for us. We don't want to have a broken road at the end of our project. We wanted that to be fixed. But if we did that and y'all decided you wanted to do something and get other people involved as well, you would already have that.
He's done.
Done.
Yeah. And it's just.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it would, I mean, that area, some challenges down at the end of that road, that some existing buildings, and I mean, I believe this would be an improvement to that area, and it also, from my seat, I do not want any more multifamily down in that area, and this is a better product than we would see with multifamily down there, so.
Put one more thing, I'd say, just looking at, when I look at it, y'all got a very nice transition. You've got the commercial up there at 53, and then it kind of goes to a little bit heavier. It kind of just naturally blends from heavy commercial to retail to light industrial to the multifamily and then the single residences. I mean, it looks like a perfect kind of transition, so.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of having this type product in our, what I call our Class A real estate that's on our main corridors where it's more
Right.
retail-based. So this is a segment off of that.
All right.
Other questions of the applicants?
Mr. Chairman, since Public Works is not here tonight, if you'd allow me to make a question, comment on their behalf.
Go ahead.
It seems like what you're asking is you're willing to make improvements, resurfacing to Stacy Lane. So you'll have a nice project, and it's a very short street anyway. We do not have that, on a future project to resurface. It could be added later, but we don't have a specific plan today. I would add, if the board's considering a condition, to resurface that short section of Stacy Lane, I think Public Works would probably like a deadline. We don't know exactly when your project's going to be developed. I mean, we're in good faith, but we've seen things happen. Properties get rezoned and they get sold, and we're not dealing with you. A reasonable deadline that it would be resurfaced, whether that's within 3 years or 5 years. So there's some, guarantee that, again, we're hearing you in good faith, but we would like it not to be ambiguous of when you're going to do that.
I agree. I propose we do it upon issue of a CO. So we're not going to impact it at all if we don't have any impact to it until we have impact to it, and then we can't. It kind of gives you guys some leverage.
It's not being affected during construction. It'll only be, like, you'll overlay it after you're done.
Right.
With your CO. When they
You're
move
not
in,
going to,
it's
and
just the traffic that will
gives
impact
you
it.
guys the, I guess the power of
teeth.
to
Yeah, and-
leverage to make sure that I'm going to do what we say we're going to do.
And we would probably want that CO, and maybe this is where the county manager's going. We've had other instances where we had multiple buildings on a particular road, and it was tied to a CO, and guess which CO they waited to do the last piece, which is the final CO. So we may be inclined to ensure that the
We could do it on the
threshold is potentially
one or
on the first or second building before we get down the road, and then you never build building 3, thus you
That's
never.
fine, because the first, we're going to have to build the entrance first anyway, so it's, I
So
don't,
why don't we tie that, if we are to make that, we tie it to our first building CO. Is that fair? Does that address your concern?
That's exactly where I was going.
Other questions of the applicants? Thank y'all. All right, so at this time, I'll open this hearing. I do have one letter of support in favor of it, and I'm going to read that. It says, "I am the owner of the property located at 133 Stacy Lane, Dawsonville, Georgia. Unfortunately, I will be unable to attend the meeting scheduled for June 16th, 2026. Therefore, I would like to submit the following comments for consideration by the commission. After reviewing the proposed rezoning request, I do not have any objections to the rezoning or the proposed setbacks for this property. Additionally, I believe that the proposed business development would have a lesser impact on the county's infrastructure, traffic, public services than higher density residential developments such as townhomes or apartment complexes. I respectfully request that these comments be entered into the record and considered during the commission's deliberations. Thank you for your time and consideration. Sincerely, David S. Pickering." All right, so that's the only other in favor. I do have 2 people who signed up in opposition. Jan Graves. Ms. Graves.
Hi, I'm Jane Graves, and having listened to the project and knowing a little bit more about it, my major issue is that reduction in the buffers. The reduction of 50 feet to 15, from 50 feet to 15, and the other one down to 10 feet, seems excessive and would be setting the stage for minimums to new future county standards, and that would be my major concern. Well, the comp plan, land use map, and character areas may sanction this type of development in this zoning category. The regulatory layer of buffers would work to ensure proper erosion control and stormwater management, along with tree and landscape standards to maintain the safety and sustainability of not just the new development itself, but also to protect existing residential and other commercial entities from cross-boundary encroachment, damage, and loss of value. Buffers are not a taking, they are a making of man-made developments that respect the topography, natural environment, and culture and sense of place in Dawson County, which is all part of the vision for this county that was also in the survey that went out to the public quite recently. So I'll just leave you with that. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Also signed up in opposition is Jeff Runner. Jeff, come on up.
I'm Jeff Runner, 75 Swan Center Drive. I don't have a dog in this fight, as they say, but I would like to just caution you that when you start reducing buffers, more and more people are going to be coming wanting reduced buffers, and they're there for a reason. As an owner of several parcels of light industrial land, I'd also like to caution you, there's a lot of things we can do on light industrial land that you really don't want to have done. So just use diligence and be careful and make sure you know what they're really wanting to do before you do it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so that's everybody that I have that is signed up at this particular moment. As I stated on the last public hearing, we've made some changes, so I will ask before I close the hearing, is there anyone else who didn't sign up that wishes to speak? Seeing none, I'll close the hearing. What's the pleasure of the board?
Can I ask the applicant another question?
You can. Come back up,
Do you wanna-
sir.
Okay. I don't want to screen. So I hate to beat a dead horse, but I am also concerned about the variances, or about the variance about the buffer being going from 50 to 15 to
Yep.
50 to 10. And I don't want to have to, table stuff, but I do have the concerns of like, is there any way to make this work? And I'm happy, I do appreciate truly that you guys went to the neighbors and got all that worked out. And then the property owner also called me. So I do appreciate that, but I do think that sometimes it does set a precedent, and I don't want to set that. So I do think that variances are important. They're there for a reason. Buffers are there for a reason. Buffers are there for a reason. I don't like variances. Is there any way to make this work without such large buffer reductions?
Yeah, I appreciate that. One of the things about it is both the properties in question that we're reducing the buffers on, both of them want to go to commercial. And so, as you know, with commercial, there's zero buffer.
So I do understand that totally.
We did try to work it, to answer your question more directly. We did try to work that, and we got it as tight as we could.
Okay.
And that's why we came up with the numbers we did. We actually laid it,
Sure.
catted out or whatever with the square footage. I mean, it's a math game to try to get the rentable square footage to.
That makes sense. I get that. I guess my concern is that they both want to go to commercial, but they haven't. And what if it sells and those people don't, and we've put in these variances and the buffers are smaller? And, like I said, I appreciate what y'all have done. I just wanted to make sure that there was no way to make it mathematically work where it would benefit y'all, but also stick within our.
We got to the number by trying to make it work as best as maximum buffer we could do and get the project viable. One thing I'll put on the northern border too, we have a detention pond there. We have a catch pond there too, so you kind of have more of a buffer.
Buffer there, okay.
If that makes sense. And then even on the house, the road comes in and kind of goes around. So some of it is, there's one point that it's tight like that, but sometimes it's wider. So
Okay.
it's
That's
not
the
that-
smallest area that it would be. Okay.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And I agree, I mean, with the premise and the idea that there's buffers for a reason, and I think the reason why we as a board look at each one individually is because you take the individual characteristics of the project into play, and it does seem where it's at, it's a single house. If they were asking for a buffer that backs up to the residential, I think that's the newer houses, and I think that's a different conversation. Because we know those houses are not going to change. They're going to continue to be residential. With the one that is a complete standalone house that's within the footprint of this, it's pretty clear to me that at some point will go commercial, and it winds up making a lot of sense. And the same can be said to the parcel to the north. I appreciate the comments by Ms. Graves and the fact that With this in that MS4 district, it is highly regulated in order to prevent the runoff. So I think that mitigates some of that concern for me. And with the topography as it goes down, they do have the retention pond on that lower side.
I mean, I do see the stormwater management sides on both, and I mean, I see that that's still there and allows for a buffer. So, I mean, I get what you're saying, Chris, but I also get the concerns that Jeff and both Jane brought up.
Yeah, and I think the way that it's written, it allows us I mean, if it was just black and white, then it would be black and white. But the way that it's written, the ordinances allow us to make the determination whether it makes sense on a per-case basis.
Richard, just to ask a question, and just because I'm not familiar as much with the commercial, because we've looked so much at residential recently, but is there a buffer requirement between commercial parcels?
Not commercial.
No, it is touching
Residential.
single-family residential. That's the buffer. So no, commercial to commercial would not be.
Which is what he just said, right? Like, if those both
Correct,
went
and
commercial, it wouldn't be necessary.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct.
All right, what's the pleasure of the board?
I'm going to make a motion to approve the project. However, I would like some guidance from the county manager in crafting the language for the dollar amount that we need to allocate for the road improvements, and how do we define that in a clear way?
We don't have an estimate. I didn't foresee we would, tonight, that we would have an estimate on resurfacing that road to county standards. We could possibly, in the language of the motion, say, to be determined by the Public Works Department based on industry standards, estimations, or one provided within the next 60 days. We could get an estimate, but I don't have that today to offer a dollar figure.
And so I guess my next question comes back to the developer. Should we leave it in the hands of our roads department? Are you comfortable with the fact that if it comes in higher than what you would anticipate, then it would revert back?
Go back to the overlay option and let us agree to resurface it to
At
the
the end?
entrance. Would that be, I just, for matters of clarity and so that we know what we're signing up for.
Yeah.
I can't do this with an open-ended.
Right.
As a project has to pencil out for
Sure.
us. I'd be crazy to sign up for that because it's,
What's your estimated amount, in your expert opinion, since you do this for a living, how much is it going to cost to overlay that between?
overlay probably 65. 65-ish.
Now, Chris, are we talking about overlaying from
The
Lee
exist-
Castleberry
Lee
to your,
Castleberry
The
to
entrance.
your
Yes,
entrance
okay.
and nothing past
We
that
just
point?
wanna make
use
sure it's
anything-
not
We won't be
beyond, yeah.
using anything past there. And again, it's very light. It's not apartments. There's not going to be a lot of traffic on it. We estimate 3 to 4 tenants. I mean, they can have multiple cars for each tenant, but it's still pretty light for right there.
So I'm going to make a motion that we, and we can massage this if we need to, but make a motion that we approve ZA 26-13 with the stipulation that the developer will fully overlay the section from Lee Castleberry intersection and Stacy Lane to to fully encompass the end of their full drive.
Tying that to a CO.
That's going to be, hang on, let me think through. That's going to be to Public Works recommendation of overlay, not curb and gutter, but overlay. And that process will need to be either completed by CO, or there will need to be communication with Public Works to get what the cost is gonna be, and you will need to escrow that by your first building CO.
And we're fine with that. And,
Is that, is that okay legally?
All right, so we have a motion. Motion by Commissioner Gaines, seconded by Commissioner Stowers. Discussion.
I apologize, sir.
Go ahead.
I may just not have heard, so I apologize. Did you say in that motion, first building CO?
Correct. So there's three buildings. The intent is to make sure that we capture that checkpoint at the first building. And it's either going to be completed at that point, or there will be an agreement with the Roads Department on what the amount will be, and they will collect that in escrow at that first CO.
Other discussion?
I
Hearing
will
none,
just
please
note
vote.
that we'll need to take up the variances separately, and perhaps that's the plan, but just want to make sure we get a vote on the variances as well. Or are you including the approval of those within your motion?
Okay.
And we can vote them separately if,
Well, we should just include it together.
I can
It's
include.
one thing. Just add it to it.
Yeah, I will add to my motion that my motion is to approve the requested variances, which is allowing buffer reductions, 40 feet buffer along the true east property line, reducing the 50 feet undisturbed buffer to 10 feet, and the 35-foot buffer reduction along the true north property line, reducing 50 feet undisturbed buffer to 15 feet.
You seconding that as well? Okay. All right, so we'll start on the amendment, which is the reductions in reference to the buffers. And so we'll vote on that amendment first, and then we'll get back to the main motion, the reductions. All right, so in no further discussion, please vote on that amended version of the motion.
Sorry to log back in. Give me a second.
And that is approved 3-1 for the amendment on the buffers, and then we'll move on to the main motion to approve ZA 2613 with the stipulations. No further discussion, please vote. And that is approved 3-1 with stipulation. Thank you. All right, so we'll move on to ZA 2615. May destroy this name. Minivar Keomova has submitted a request to the proper authorities on behalf of, I can't say that, Kakamova Properties for land use amendment to rezone approximately 1.199 surveyed acres from RSRMM residential sub-rural manufactured move to CRB commercial rural business to allow for an automobile service business. The proposed rezoning is consistent with the suburban living future land use character area map. The subject property is located at 2232 Dawson Forest Road, Dawsonville, Georgia, 30534, parcel number 106-043. Richard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. During the Planning Commission public hearing, there were minimal comments, and the applicants are not requesting any variances. Planning Commission recommended approval with the following conditions: improve access and driveway to the county two-way commercial standard per County Code Chapter 42. The second being required civil plans and hydrology study must indicate no additional runoff onto adjacent properties. And the third one being stormwater management plan and all applicable MS4 requirements must be followed. Just as a staff note, this was based on the Public Works comments. All three notes are based on the existing county code. If the Board of Commissioners chooses to recommend approval, recommend denial, recommend approval with conditions, if they have these conditions, it's fine. It's redundant, it's reiterating, but again, all three are in the county code already, so it's nothing new.
Okay, questions for Richard?
Is this going to increase traffic at all?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions for Richard? Thank you. Is the applicant present? Please come on up and tell us what you'd like to do.
Good evening. My name is Minava Kadimova. Our plan is to build automobile shop, 5,000 square feet, enclosed. There will be no cars outdoor. And the mobile home will be office, and behind the mobile home is going to be the shop.
Questions of the applicant? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, so at this time, I'll open up the hearing. I had no one sign up in support or opposition to this particular hearing. Anyone that didn't sign up that wishes to speak? All right, see you and what's the pleasure of the board?
I got a question. Richard, the properties to the left and right are RSR. What's the zoning for the ones on the left and right of this that flank this property?
Yes, sir. Touching zoning and use is single-family residential, 25-foot buffer for this lighter commercial zoning, CRB, rural business. 5-foot undisturbed buffer is required, will have to be maintained, variance is not requested.
Okay.
But you got single family on the left and the right.
Correct, yes, sir.
So this rezoning is consistent with the land use plan?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, what's the pleasure of the board?
I share some concerns that that Alexa has, and I would make a motion that we deny ZA 26-15.
Motion to deny by Commissioner Gaines, seconded by Commissioner Bruce. Discussion. Hear none, please vote. And that denial is approved 4-0. All right, we'll move on to new business. First up, we have consideration of acceptance of supplemental 2026 American Rescue Plan Act funds. Let me find my papers that I had on that. And I believe that was $70,000. Is that not correct? That they wanted, they had, oh, this one. They wanted to break that down, use it for other things.
Juror expenses, court
Yeah.
reporter transcripts, interpreters, and bailiffs.
And then they would transfer $10,500 from Superior Court to the new building for capital project, and transfer the personnel cost of 2 misdemeanor probation officers from October 1st to December 31st, 2026, Superior Court, approximately $42,000 of that, and create a temporary new administrative assistant position in Superior Court. This position will provide part-time assistance to all three of the court accountability programs, treatment services, misdemeanor probation, and pretrial release. Each of these programs are currently handling a record-high volume of new cases and participants, approximately $12,500. All right. So I know we had some discussion a couple of weeks ago in reference to especially the part-time position. And so, you know, my concern here would be that that person understand this is a temporary position and that the budget process would have to fold itself out if anything continued from that going forward. So what's the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion that we accept the supplemental 2026 American Rescue Plan Acts Fund.
Motion by Commissioner Stowers, seconded by Commissioner Turkett. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. That is approved 4-0. Next up, we have consideration request to make a part-time administrative clerk position a full-time position. Joy presented that a couple of weeks ago. We've currently spent about $13,000 of $43,000 that was budgeted for 2 part-time positions. And looking at that and even considering future budget things, from what I understand, and there's no need for insurance and stuff, so that's going to pretty much cover that even going forward with what we've already budgeted. Any other information needed?
I guess we'll handle, because we have to budget for,
Yeah, it'd have to go in the budget.
yeah, because we have to budget for the benefits regardless, so. Next year.
Well, not necessarily. If they don't take them, you wouldn't have to. Yeah, okay. What's the pleasure, board?
Make a motion that we approve the request to make a part-time administrative clerk position to a full-time position.
Motion by Commissioner Stowers, seconded by Commissioner Bruce. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that's approved 4-0. Next up, we have Community Development Personnel Reclassification Request of permit staff to complete addressing assignments. There was no additional funding needed there. Any other information needed? That actually saves money.
Are we making a motion? Okay. Make a motion to reassign, I can't find my wording, sorry. Personnel reclassification request of permit staff to complete addressing assignments, community development.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Bruce, seconded by Commissioner Turkett. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 4-0. Next, we have board appointments, Long Range Planning Committee, Tim Costley replacing Mandy Power, Park and Recreation, Blake Holbrook replacing Calvin Bird, term July 2026 through December 2027. Any other information needed? Motions?
Make a motion to approve those board appointments.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Bruce, seconded by Commissioner Turkett. Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. And that is approved 4-0. And we have no further business beyond that. And with that, we are adjourned.